Infuriated.
Let's call the meeting to order. Make a note that Mary's absent. To start the meeting tonight, the middle school choir will be doing lead us both from the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. And then at that point, if they want to continue their presentation, they're more than welcome to. Otherwise, they can wait to on the school agenda. So without further ado, the middle school choir, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam? Those bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and all the brave?
If the middle school would wish to continue the presentation now, they're more than happy to do so. Or we can wait, whatever they want to do.
The reason I wanted to bring our choir here again this year is our continual growth. Last year we had 2 sections of choir, and we are exceeding the numbers that we were allowed to have in those class sizes, which is 33. So that was at least 66 kids per semester. And so this year we have 3 hours of choir, and we are at our max again. And so we have kids that are truly invested in this program, and I'm really excited about what they bring to our school along with the leadership skills that they gain in this course. Further ado, our choir.
First thing we have is Andrea just wanted to say something.
The Yankee Choir feels like home, and when I'm having a bad day, this place makes it better. And to me, we are a family, people you can count on when you need them, and they can count on you. And when I can't express the way I feel with words, I can express them through song. Not only does making the music make me happy, but the people I make it with. So I would like to say thank you to everyone here performing with me tonight, and I would like to say thank you for letting me be here tonight. And last but not least, I would like to say thank you to Miss Smith for getting me where I am and letting me be here with you for my last year of music.
Cakes and butter, cakes with lots of stars. So cakes I think are very nice. But when it comes to Christmas time, can anyone dispute that when you bake a Christmas cake, it really should be surely flippy? Yes, it should be positively, absolutely must be made of fruit. got platforms too. That's some crazy, same things. Just so much it's up to you. Just so much it's up to you. Pecans and walnuts and hazelnuts, almonds and all other great nuts. Pecans and walnuts and hazelnuts, almonds and all other great nuts. In our choir, we have some officers here with us today. So if I say your name, please raise your hand. Johan Mule. Andrea Ramos. Riley Gaylor. She's back here. Strapped to a drum. Miles Max. Adeline Jew. Frankie Zykin. And lastly, myself, Connor Bruner. Choir is the one thing that has been holding my life together all these years. Through ups and downs, it's always cheered me up. And not gonna lie, I have the best choir teacher in the world, Miss Smith. Miss Smith always goes out of her way to make sure we all have a fun time. So Miss Smith, thank you for all you do for us.
It's gonna get a little bit loud.
Chair, 2, 3, 4.
And then we'll be done.
So I just wanted to say, I just wanted to talk about the growth of our choir program. Like you just saw, there's a lot of kids. When I first came to choir, there were 3 boys in my hour, and we sang soprano and alto. And we went from singing that 2 part to now some songs singing 6 parts. 7 part, got it right. So our choir has grown to over 120 kids this semester. 29 kids, yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to say the growth has been spectacular. The eighth graders I know are excited because in the spring, we're going to be going to district choir where we're going to be professionally judged. And I think that judging will grow us as musicians and singers. And I just wanted to thank everybody who was part of making that decision. And thank you, Miss Smith, for being the best choir teacher in all the world and in all the universe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more round of applause for you.
I know Mrs. Ewell feels that Johann Ewell feels like Mrs. Smith is the best choir teacher. Are you gonna give Johann a talking to about the best choir teacher in the whole wide world?
Tanner, do you have anything else?
No, it's really hard to go, throughout my day. If I'm having a rough moment, I know where I can go every single day to hear angels sing and drums bang in the most best way possible. When you walk into that room, the feeling in the room is that every kid wants to be there and is loved. And, that is a positive feeling to have in a school, especially in middle school, so.
Well, thank you for bringing it. Appreciate it.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Mr. Michaels. You failed your assignment.
My assignment, oh my goodness.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval and adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I heard 6-0. MSBA board report.
Teachers and have ongoing costs. K-12 Safety and Center for Education Safety Director Bob Klossmeyer says that the increase in threats has emphasized the importance of having a solid emergency operations plan.
So what the safety specialists, they're busy with everyday activities, operation activities, and what they're finding is they're realizing is that the emergency operation plans directly relate to the responses they need to take for these threats and school threats and different activities. So what they're finding is by not having an emergency operation plan in place or not having an updated version, they're scrambling to get those completed. And an emergency operations plan is not something that can be done in a short amount of time. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a collaborative team to get this thing done.
On December 5th and 6th, MSBA Center for Education Safety team is hosting a 2-day safety summit titled The Secret to Great Crisis Communications and Emergency Planning. The summit is designed for school leaders focused on crisis planning and will provide valuable insights, best practices, and practical strategies to effectively prepare for and navigate through crises in school settings. Engage with expert speakers and connect with peers to enhance your crisis management skills to keep staff and students safe.
We just started another school year, and already the nation's been rocked by more school violence. Here in Missouri and around the country, we're experiencing a significant increase of online threats of violence to our schools. Our kids, families, and educators need us to be at our very best on the worst of days, and the best response happens with a great crisis communications plan and when you're emergency prepared.
Bob Klossmeyer says that this summit is not just for safety personnel.
Well, there's a misconception out there that this is focused on just safety personnel. Your safety coordinators, your safety specialists, but it really isn't. I mean, it is for everybody from all levels, especially those administrators and those board members, because, when the event happens, when there's an emergency and the event happens, the media is going to be involved. You're going to have media coming from all over. They're coming out of the woodwork, and they're not going to the safety coordinators. They're going to the leadership. They're going to the superintendents, to the administrators, they're going to the board, and they want to know, what do you know about your emergency operation plan? What do you know about what happened?
Visit the MSBA website for information on registering for the Safety Summit and more information on the emergency operations planning tools and trainings available to your district. Filing for the next school board election is only a couple of months away. There are many things that districts can do between now and the start of filing to prepare. MSBA's Associate Executive Director of Leadership Development, Catherine Whitaker, says that this is a great time to start communicating with the community about the upcoming election process.
So candidate filing doesn't open until December. So you have technically 2 months to let your community know that you do have an opening on the school board potentially. You have time to let them know what it looks like to be a school board member, what does it mean to file, how do you file, and just to give them information about your school district in general. We've created a presentation that superintendents, board presidents can use to inform the community about their school district as a whole, and then also about what it means to be a school board member.
Whitaker also says that MSBA has numerous resources to help potential school board candidates from filing to election.
So on our website, we have a ton of information, some written by lawyers so that they know how to appropriately file and run a campaign, but some written by us, just again, trying to outline what does it look like to be a school board member, what does it feel like to be a school board member, what are your responsibilities. So we've created a module for candidates that school districts can sign up for and then give the login information to those candidates so they can go in and have a better understanding of, now that you're a candidate and you filed, what does it look like to be a school board member. It's interactive, gives a lot of information about the state and what it means to be a school board member.
Visit the MSBA website for all of the resources and training modules available to school boards and potential candidates. Additionally, you can learn about required notices, dates and times for filing, candidate qualifications, financial disclosure statements, and recommended practices from the first day to swearing in new board members at MSBA's Board Candidate Filing and Elections webinar held on October 30th at 1 p.m. This webinar is recommended for the superintendent, board secretary, and other central office staff involved in candidate filing. For more information, visit the MSBA website. And last but certainly not least, thank you to all who hosted and attended MSBA's fall regional meetings. Meetings were held in all of the state's 17 regions as attendees gathered to network, learn, and share with fellow public school leaders to ensure all students succeed. That's it for this month. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in November for the next MSBA Board Report.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is MSBA Fall Conference readout.
Real quick, Austin, who are we sending to that safety conference?
I don't know.
I would like us to send at least 2 people.
Okay. That was on December 5th and 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in the November board meeting, can you add that as an agenda item, please?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we all had the opportunity to do some professional development over the last weekend. So I can either start down here and start the conversation, or we can start with you, Aaron. What do you want to do?
Whatever you want, Mr. President.
Well, I'll start it off and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So, Elizabeth, do you want to pull that slide up?
Sure.
So there was a lot of good information, and this slide that's up on the screen here is the result of Senate Bill 727. And what it essentially tells school districts is that by 2025, 2026, the minimum teacher salary needs to be $40,000. So for the first 3 years, and then after that, you have to start raising teacher salaries by the CPI, but it's capped at 3% or whatever that number is. So the thing that they cautioned us about is if your salary schedules aren't well formed, then the issue you're going to have is once you start getting out later and later on into these things, especially over in the master's column, then the question is, are you going to start running short of operating funds to fund teacher salaries? Now, Amy and I did talk about this a little bit, and the good news is that if you look at the 2031, 2032 school year for both the minimum teacher salary and the MA plus 10, assuming the 3% inflation. And then there's another slide in this presentation that just gives you the historical inflation rates. But our minimum teacher salary exceeds that 45,020, and our MA plus 10 already exceeds that 54,023. Now, the other thing that they told us was, you know, so Representative Myers and I had a conversation about this, and he said, as long as, because the state law says that the state may fund this, but that school districts shall do this. So there's the issue of, you know, at any time the state legislature could say, we're not going to fund this anymore, right? Now, when I talked to Jeff Myers about it, he said as long as he's in the state house, he will vote to make sure that it gets funded, because he is actually, because we talked to him hard about not voting for this. And he voted for it anyway. So, but once Jeff leaves, because he's turned out, then the question becomes, well, will the next individual fund it? And the other thing they told us is, this is where you got to start talking about, you know, the state, you know, the previous Senate bills where they're going to cut taxes and stuff like that when state revenues hit certain amounts. And so there's those issues. And then the other issue is Senate Bill 756, which is basically the senior citizen property tax cap, because, you know, that's going to start hitting because that was approved by our county commissioners. So there's all these constraints on the revenues. And the issue we have to talk about is, for us, we're good on the salary schedule side, but the state wants to fund this. The question is, are they going to withhold transportation money? And then, so obviously with us being a larger district, and if our in terms of geographic area, if our transportation funds get withheld, then basically we'll have to go back to start using operating money to fill that hole. So that's kind of, you know, and this slide was used in two different presentations. It was used in the legal update one, which happens to be this presentation, and then Ms. Quigley, is that her last name? She also had it in terms of a deeper dive on what 727 meant to school districts. So I learned a lot of other things, but to me, this was the thing that caught my eye in terms of, okay, 5 years down the road from now, what's going to keep Amy up at night? And I think, you know, some of this stuff may or may not keep her up. So that's what I wanted to bring. So Beth, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay. I had a couple of sessions that were really good. I know Austin and Aaron and I went to one on competency-based grading. And so I'll just say that was really interesting to see how this particular school district was rolling that out, because it looked completely different from what we're doing. I think they were rolling out to K through 12 all at once. And they were just 7 weeks into it, but they had done a lot of work to work with a couple of other schools who've been doing it for a long time and to understand their successes that they had had with it. So I won't say a lot more about that one, but I think it kind of gave us some ideas as to, you know, how we understand it, how we communicate it to our parents, that kind of thing. The best session that I went to, the School of the Osage, their district is very similar to ours in makeup. They presented something, on the title here. Did I lose it? Okay, it was called Aligning Budget Cycles with Strategic Planning, A Path to Excellence. This was so good. I will probably send a follow-up email with a copy of the presentation and then the document that they had as output. It was absolutely excellent. I was so impressed. They pursued something called the Meritorious Budget Award through NOASO. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. But the reason that they did it was not to get an award for the district. It was for the framework that you have as you pursue the award, this continuous improvement framework. So it gives you all sorts of very practical tools for being able to forecast in your finances, to kind of, you know, be forward thinking, look ahead at what's coming, but primarily in being able to put together your budget and your finances in a way that is really easy for the community to understand and consume. And so they had a document that they put out to their community, a very short document, lots of student pictures in it. You know, it was very good at tying it back to students, back to the strategic plan. It was just excellent. I was so impressed. So I might send a follow-up email for anyone who might be interested in taking a look at that.
Oh, it's my turn.
It's your
Sorry.
turn.
So one of them that I went to, and I only bring this up, I don't know how I feel about it yet, but it's an incredible amount of money to ignore that this exists. It was called Community Partnerships, and it was the school district in Nixa. And basically they sell advertising at their school. So whether it be on the field or on their TVs in their common areas or on locker postings or within their newsletters, which in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, you're selling advertising. Well, they paid for their entire turf football field with advertising on the field, and they get an average of $350,000 a year to split between their band, their athletic boosters, etc. You know, those people that would other do advertising and fundraisers. It was just a really interesting thought process, because advertising to your students and teachers is odd to me. But they've been doing it now for 10 years, close to 10 years. And they initially started with working with a newspaper to sell the stuff, but now they have a whole department. And it was just, there might be opportunity there. I don't know I would go as full blown as they have, but it was a wild one that caught my eye. And it really, there's a lot of opportunity. We'll just leave that there. And then the second one was Community for Alliance for Student Success. And I know that we all kind of heard about this when we were in the superintendent search. I think we talked to some people that they were working in districts that had this. And basically, it's developing an alliance of community members to support your students. And what I found was it was really interesting. We're already doing all of it. And we're doing all of it in a great way. What they're doing is trying to work with the state to put data around it, to find what things in your community you can do specifically to help students succeed. And every district's different, but they're really putting data around that. So I was really impressed. But a lot of the things that they kept talking about, we have those people in our community, we have those groups in our community, we have those supports in our community. So putting them more together may work in an alliance, but we're already there. So I would love to see, this is the first year that they've done it. They're 1 year into a 5-year funded program, and it'll be really interesting to see the data as it starts to come out. You know, they have a little bit of data, but they're also working with 12 different, very, very different districts. So large districts, tiny districts, K through 8s, and then each district might be focusing on very different things. So one district might be focusing on a grade level or a program, and another district might be focusing on 3 kids. So hard to wrap data around that and compare it, but I'll be really interested over the next 4 years to see how that pans out. So
was that seminar led by MSBA or specific school districts?
It was the researchers doing the project and the Dean Emeritus from Springfield University.
I was thinking on my way to this meeting, I bet our building administrators hate it when we come back from back with all of these ideas. So the first thing that I did was I grabbed Matt Brooks and I said, hey, if only you and Morgan were sitting next to each other. There's this, my favorite session that I went to was from Park Hill. Yes, if you could stand up for me. It was on their program for future ready students. And much like what Heidi just said, it's all of the great things that we're already doing. They call it something different. They call their requirements how we restructured our graduation pathways a couple of years ago.
Future ready.
Yeah, they call it future ready with these market value assets. It's all the same stuff that we're already doing, but it is packaged so nicely and so well.
Tonight.
And yeah, and I I think it would just be so great because it really does showcase, I think, what public schools do for kids. There's so many great avenues, dual enrollment, A+, VOTEC, you know, like all of the things. So I just thought the way that they packaged it, they also work with this program called AVID. Their entire CSIP is programmed with, like, in coordination with AVID. And I had never heard about AVID, but it's works specifically with underprivileged kiddos to get them ready for college. So it's more rigorous, smaller classes. I don't know if we're ready for that. It's very expensive, but I think we do a lot of those things. It's just packaging it in a different light. I know we talk about A+ every year. Again, I've said for a long time, we don't public schools just don't market ourselves well, right? And one of the things that kind of leads into that so that was my big exciting, my favorite session and my to-do was just to hand it off to you guys. But one of the, for you to do what you will, but one of the first session that I went to was on a new nonprofit that is starting, and it's called Missouri Positive Voice for Education. So they are brand new. They don't even have a website yet, but they will be putting out an annual State of Missouri Public Education report. That what they were gathering in the session was what the school districts in the session were interested in researching. So they currently have, they've gathered over $100,000 worth of grants, and they have research happening right now on student outcomes when a charter school shuts down. So like a charter school will say, well, if we're not successful, we'll just close and, you know, let the free market, you know, do what it will. Well, okay, but what happens to the student when that happens? What happens to teachers when that happens? And so they're doing research. So rather than just being kind of ideological feelings, it will be very data driven, so that when you know, whatever the data says, it will be out there. So that'll be really interesting to see what they come up with. But it is really just to have actual data out there rather than just people, you know, on either side of public education saying this is great or this is terrible, whatever it may be, and just actually having some data to back things up from a nonprofit 501c3. So absolutely no lobbying kind of thing. Like I said, they said they would try to get a website done within the next 3 to 6 months, but that'll be interesting.
Hey, Amy, you want to tell us what you learned?
Sure, absolutely. So a couple of them stood out to me. One was about the board and the superintendent and that relationship and how working together to, you know, improve things for teachers, students, and community. So that one stood out to me on those positive relationships. And then one I did attend also on safety, because safety is something that keeps me up every night, no matter what that you think about. And a lot of the things in the safety presentation were things that we're working on, and the importance of, for example, a threat assessment, which we're currently working through now, making sure our district has that. So a lot of the things we've already brought or we're working towards now, which is always nice. And then just some of the things are just reminding people of the things that are free that we can do every day. And it's something that we're working towards bringing here is just kind of a reminder of stop the prop, don't prop the door open. Mm-hmm. Some of the easiest things sometimes we forget about, but it's not the most expensive tools and tricks. And it's also making sure our students are connected and we have a relationship with them. And that's where that attendance piece comes in, that we're making those connections with our kids. So it's a lot of things that we're already working on, but it's a good reminder of the importance of why that so many things we do back to safety And that attendance piece is one of them because we care about our kids and we want them in school and we want to make sure they're safe. And so a lot of great sessions.
Anything else before we go on to our next agenda topic? Elizabeth, did anybody sign up for public comments?
No.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is new Wright City High School updates. Dr. Salvo.
So I'll turn it over to that.
All right, thanks for having me again. We'll go through the updates of ongoing activities and just give an overall synopsis, kind of where we are today. The ongoing finishes at the building, it's finishes, it's flooring, it's paint. Really all the casework's in at this point, with the exception of the kitchen. Final grading is ongoing out on the exterior. So as we continue to work through this, we're taking section after section to get vegetation growth for too long. We've been kind of on borrowed time and had a really good run here the last few months. That continues to press forward. Athletic fields are moving forward. We got approval last month for the backstop work. That work has been completed. Now we're gearing up to complete the rest of the baseball field. Football field, the contractor's mobilizing on Monday to start doing the track surfacing, which is great. Again, very weather dependent, so we're fortunate to have the weather that we're having today. Vegetation and detention basins are ongoing. Detention basins are kind of one of the last things you kind of smooth up as you walk off a project. There's a lot of maintenance to them. It's just a matter of keeping them clean and keeping them functional, which is why you do it so late in the process. And then getting all the systems programmed, fire system, access control, temperature control, all those type of things. All that's in motion. Next slide, please, Elizabeth. Looking forward, I heard about 2 weeks, the week of the 4th, the press box contractors mobilizing to mobilize to the site to do their work. So that includes the press box and the visitor side bleachers. That works right around the corner, along with the pre-engineered metal building. So this is where the locker rooms are sitting east of the football field. We're finally at a point now that the triple jump that was approved as a change order a few months back, we had to get that done and out of the way, so we kind of work our way out of that area. We're at the position now where we can go after those foundations. So start to look like something. Here's some aerial. Oh, you're good. Just some overhead drone shots. And I didn't even look at the video, Elizabeth. Did we end up getting fly through the inside?
I did not.
Okay. We're going to try to incorporate some of the fly throughs from the inside, just drone footage and finishes for meetings moving forward. A lot of progress. You can see, you can kind of see where the grass is stopping midway through the length of the high school. We did actually vegetate this entire area, then we got hit with like 20-mile-an-hour winds that night. So they got to redo that starting on Monday. But we're just kind of working our way back. We're waiting on all the siding to get placed here. This is the fiber cement system. Now the sheet metal guys are capping the parapet as they work out. We can go after that and get that vegetated. This area up here to the right, this is where the brick pavers are going to go. So that area was deliberately left out. Now that we have that information, we can block out for it and proceed with that work once we get the vegetation done. Just south of it. More shots of the exterior. And there's the baseball field. Bleachers are in, the hillside bleachers that we have talked about for so long now. Those are in and installed. Contractor that's doing the doing the press box. They mobilized 2 weeks ago and really knocked that out. They increased their crew size to get it done. And then right now we're going after, oh, sorry, it's all right. I was just south of the bleachers, the steps just started today. That's all I was going to show. We got a run of steps that go down here and then the rest of that can be dressed up. Basketball court is in. So this is from them laying out the striping. This is about a week old or so. The floor is done now. It's a beautiful looking floor. Get a chance to go in there when it's appropriate. Please go check it out, but it's a neat looking floor. Any questions or comments?
Aaron, any questions?
Are we still on track?
We're going to take it to the wire, but we're getting it done. Yeah, we're committed to being done on the 19th as far as building goes. As far as some extra activities are going to go on longer.
Okay. Cool. Kyle?
Should probably ask this question last week, but I saw in a previous update, Amy move in November 11th. Was that a delay from the end of October? Any concerns with that, or is this to a new area that's opening up?
November 11th, we need to go back and look at that. Was that when we were moving furniture?
Yeah, so Kyle, we're doing a lot on the 11th. So we have our furniture company coming in. They're gonna be in for about 3 weeks. We also got audio visual coming in on the 11th. They're gonna be in the band room. And then we start our movement of high school stuff over there that week as well.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff's happening November 11th.
Looks like it's a
Okay.
busy day.
That week, yeah,
Gotcha.
that week on.
Okay, so no concerns going into next semester for moving stuff.
Oh, we're gonna move stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
How about that? At least to our worst.
If you really look at what the building inside's gonna look like, November 11th, you guys have furniture in, essentially all the finishes will be in, with the exception of what we're doing in the cafeteria and the kitchen. It'll take about a month to, kind of get the floor prepped in that area so we can get food service equipment put in. And then obviously we've got all the equipment testing and commissioning and health inspections and all that. But it'll be right there in the heart of December getting that done. That's the scary part for me, is because as you know, government entities are off the month of December, January.
Well, I just didn't know if we were gonna be opening Christmas presents at the new high school or not.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Good questions.
Heidi?
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank
I
you.
don't either. Yeah.
I don't, thank you.
Good. Have a safe drive home.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, next one on the agenda.
Hey, one second.
I'm sorry, Austin. This is not for you.
Oh, I'm
Bobby.
out of here.
Thank you. So not on construction, but on the new high school update with the move, are we feeling confident about the transportation plan?
So we have a new director that came on, I'd say 2-3 weeks ago. We have met with a couple of his bosses about, the plan is right now, I want to say we have about 13 high school buses. Does that sound right? 14? We're thinking at the middle school, in the mornings at least, what we're going to try to do is consolidate those 14 buses to 6 buses and then move those 6 buses of kids over to new high school in the morning. We still haven't thought about how we're going to do the afternoon or not. I don't think that's going to happen in the afternoon, but that's our way of getting those kids to the high school on time, plus getting back out to our routes to get west and east going.
So when will new routes go out to parents? Do you
As
think?
far as new routes, we shouldn't have any new routes. It's just like, once they come to the middle school, we're gonna wait till all 14 of our buses are there, and then those 14 buses are gonna be down to 6.
So we won't have to adjust times or anything?
That's the hope right now. Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, that's optimistic. All right.
I don't know why.
It's not gonna happen.
I am not jealous of you right now.
Has the city determined a start date for Volker yet on renovating it?
I don't believe so.
Non-official. We're hearing that the start is in the spring and maybe a lot of work going into the summer is what we're hearing.
Okay.
I haven't heard an official,
Yeah.
starting on.
I'm asking that because if they're gonna have the road torn up in the middle of the semester, we'll be able to utilize our other exit effectively for that.
So right when Doc started, we had a meeting with the city administrator, and and Cochran was there and other people, and they were talking that the little stretch in front of us would be worked first, and then they'd start moving down towards the highway. That's what was said at that meeting. Now, if that's gonna happen, I'm not sure, but I'm trying to take care of our area first and then moving up.
But if they start that in the middle of the semester, and we're gonna have to pivot, and
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah, okay.
Heidi, did you have another question?
I do not.
Okay.
I just got really stressed for Jeremy. Sorry.
It's all gonna happen.
It's gonna be great.
Great.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the paver project update, and the athletic boosters are here to help us out. And thank you, by the way, for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
We started this project for your new board members, athletic boosters, Kimberly Adamson, Vice President.
Jessica Goodman, President.
And we both have kiddos very involved in sports, so that's why we're here. So our original plan that Amy Dunning brought to you last year looked like this. So it included the 12x12 pavers, and thankful to some of our district members, we were able to get in touch with the builders and find out that there's a bit of a supply and demand issue there. So we had to make an adjustment because those 12 by 12 pavers were no longer available when it came time to order them. Next slide. So the 12 by 12 changed to an 8 by 12 paver, and then we lost a character per line. Yeah, one character, well, a few characters on the smaller, and then one character on the original 12 by 12 going to 8 by 12. Positives here is that we were able to keep the pricing the same. We voted on that together. And then thanks to Morgan, she updated. We kind of went offline with those purchases for a little bit. And then she brought us back online with the new flyer for those.
So the individuals that bought the 12 by 12, I guess you contacted them and it worked with them?
It is in process right now. Some of them have been contacted and there's some who have not quite been contacted yet. So it's happening as we speak.
Okay, yeah, so we're working through those. Our next meeting is November 4th, and we're hoping to have made contact with everybody by then so that if there's any issues, we can come back as a group and address it then. Another positive of this is that before there was a lot of concern about the bricks that were going to be used if they were put down first and then we had to get them back up to pave them and reinstall them. It was just going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of risk for breaking them and so on and so forth. But with this product, this new product, they're going to be able to put it down and all of the engraving will be done on site with a sandblaster, so they won't have to remove them at all. So that gives us a lot more flexibility. So as Bobby mentioned, you know, they had asked for the first round of pavers to be there by November 1st so that they could install those. So we're not holding them up anymore, but we can continue to move forward with what we need to. So that is all set. Those pavers have been installed, as he mentioned. They're ready to go. If you could go to the next slide. So far, we of the 4 by 8 size pavers, we've sold 46. We have 98 left to sell. Of the 8 by 8s, we've sold 19. We have 17 left to sell. And of the 12 by 12s, now the 8 by 12s, we've sold 18 with 54 left to sell. The numbers, like the quantity of the pavers that we had did not change at all. So that they were able to make the plan, the layout still look the same with the same number. So that was good. We have a tentative date of selling right now through the Blue and Gold dinner in March. A lot of that is just giving us a deadline so that we can come together as the boosters and kind of figure out where it's going and if we need to make any adjustments. The other part is we want to be able to have at least like the first round of purchases done and engraved. So as people are starting to go to the high school, that's done. So we'll certainly be looking for feedback on that. I think that it was said that sports wouldn't necessarily start till the fall, but I didn't know if there would be other things going on in the spring and summer that kind of showcase the new school, because you know it's going to be cool and everybody's going to be
people are going to walk around,
right?
I mean,
Exactly.
sure.
So I certainly think that we need to have the first time or the first round of sales engraved so that that's part of the initial presentation. So I mean we will be looking for feedback, but as of right now, after we're hoping to do one last push of sales during the Blue and Gold dinner and then work on engraving what we have at that point.
So you're going to sell that Saturday night at the Blue and Gold auction?
Yes, absolutely. And anything and everything we can come up with in between. So again, open to suggestions. If you know of anything that you think might be helpful for us to come and talk, present. I think this is a really cool thing. We moved to Wright City 10 years ago. It was super important to me because I moved around when I was a kid a lot. It was super important to me for my kids to have roots somewhere. So we committed to moving here and being here until they graduate. And it's super exciting that there's a new high school going in, you know, and I feel like it's everybody's chance to kind of like make their mark on their time here. So anyway, so anytime we have a chance to kind of promote that, we're happy to. So just let us know if you think of something. After this section, there is the potential for 2 other sections to continue to sell. And we're absolutely up to doing that if, you know, if it's all going well. So we'll just kind of keep touching back in as we go along. And then I guess just to make sure everybody's clear, like the intention is for the proceeds from all of that to go to the weight room, so, or weight room equipment.
So if you need help with the blue and gold, I can get you in touch with Jackie Neerman.
Okay, yeah.
And so just email me or,
Okay,
and then I'll get you her contact information.
okay,
And then that would be a good place to start to work with her and all that stuff.
okay. That sounds good.
Did you guys share this at a Chamber of Commerce meeting or anything?
I don't think that we have. We really were kind of trying to relaunch at homecoming. Yeah. So we made sure because when Amy and I first came on and we started talking about it with people, you know, not many people didn't actually know about it, you know. So we're really focusing from now till March to try to spread the word. So yeah, that's an awesome idea. I'd be happy to go.
So if you send me a JPEG of whatever you got,
Okay.
I can email the chamber.
Okay.
And because Jennifer Olivio, who owns Town and County Garage, she handles the newsletter.
Okay,
So
great.
I'll email that to her also to give me a JPEG, and then we can get it in their newsletter.
Okay, wonderful. We'll definitely do that.
We brought you printed copies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about that?
Do we have another Facebook push plan for that in the community?
What we have just solidified most of it, so our next round of selling them is, yes.
Okay.
It's planned, and we did tap into the chamber first thing we just came out. And we also ran ads last year in the blue and gold, so we tapped into those, but we're gonna reface it and repush it so we can get the last of this phase going.
I also think, we don't have a date yet, but we will want an open, time for our community to come and see the new high school.
High school,
We're working
right.
on a date.
Yeah.
I don't have that yet. Stay tuned.
Okay, yeah.
But I think that'll also be an
Yeah.
opportunity for these when it's, people can see it and walk through it, and it's such a blessing in our community, and I think they're gonna want a part of that. So when we have that event, which stay tuned, we're working on a date, I think that'll also be an opportunity when
Yes.
they see this, and we're working on some activities potentially when we do this community event where it might be like a scavenger hunt where they're finding things. This could be a stop in the scavenger hunt to find where these
Oh,
might
cool.
go.
Okay, yeah.
That's cool.
And then they might want a piece of that as well. It'll give them an opportunity.
Mhm.
Be a great,
graduation
present too for seniors.
Yes, I was actually just gonna say, we are trying to kind of promote it more like on senior nights and obviously as we go into the spring and there's different events. Another opportunity, I mean, just looking even forward to the fall, you know, any of the, I don't know what to call them, I'm going to call them teacher events, but like, you know, any opportunity, like, obviously we just had homecoming where there might be like retired teachers or coaches or anything of that nature who might also want to make their mark. So
We should get like a huge poster and put it on an easel at parent teacher conferences and stuff with the QR code and people can just walk in.
Definitely. I know we've talked about some of those marketing.
we have, and we are working on getting some signs made to even put up, you know, like at the four corners and, you know, maybe at the school near the school entrances and that kind of thing too, just to try to, you know, get all of those touches in, right? So people start to have it in their heads. So
If you come up with any more of those great ideas.
yeah, do not be shy. We are open to the feedback. Yeah.
To our meeting.
Yeah. 6 o'clock if you need another meeting to go to.
Yeah. Thank you guys for all of
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, the next topic on the agenda is bond underwriting. Amy?
Yeah, so you may know that our district is experiencing some growth, and with those things, and with me coming on new to this role in July, one thing that's very important to me is to make sure our district's set up for financial success and just to make sure we're doing our absolute best in putting our district in the absolute possible position for future financial growth to be ready. So with part of that, we sent out on October 4th, we solicited qualifications for an RFQ for bond underwriting companies, and those proposals were due October 14th. And then we had a committee interview them on October 22nd. So our recommendation is to go with Piper Sandler as our company. They have a vast amount of knowledge. Just some of the districts currently that work with them are Francis Howell, Hannibal, Kirksville, Nixa, Moberly, Parkway, Lindbergh, Orchard Farm, Lee Summit, Pattonville, just to name a few. So I would highly recommend them. They're recommended due to their vast knowledge of their financing team, which was one of the things that set them apart. And also their partnership is very collaborative with districts on kind of that master planning on what you can do. So that was something that definitely set the company apart from the other companies that submitted an RFQ. So it would be my recommendation to move forward with them. And then I can begin working with them as we begin and continue to plan moving forward on our growth.
Any questions for Amy? I need a motion to approve.
What, like, just comparatively, like their fee structure versus what we have currently with Depot?
Better. We would pay less. So not only, and sometimes I always think too, there's fees and there's costs. You know, sometimes, just speaking in generalities, it's not the case here, but sometimes when you look at companies, you know, the fee may be more upfront, but really it's saving you costs down the line. If it can save you millions and thousands of things. But even on this case, it's less than what the fee structure is, less than what we would pay with our current company.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, a motion to approve Piper Sandler and Company as a district's bond underwriting company.
So moved.
Seconded.
There's a motion and second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I heard 6-0. The next item is the result of a patron contacted me. So we all know about this growth that's going on in the city and, you know, the housings that coming up and stuff like that. And the patron's idea to me was, well, should the school district be communicating with the public in terms of what our master plan looks like? And so I thought that was a good idea, and it would be a good idea for Amy to do this, but I did not want to direct Amy to do this. I wanted the board to have a conversation with Amy to see what it thought Amy should or should not do. And then Amy has some ideas also about what she thinks she should and shouldn't do. So the idea, I guess, is does the board want Amy to pursue this in terms of developing a plan to, you know, kind of give the district or give a presentation about what our master plan is at various like chamber meetings and stuff like that? Do we want a director to do that? B, what are her ideas to make that happen and what are the timelines? And then C, essentially is, what would be the next steps to make that happen? And one of the things that Amy told me was, now that we approved the underwriter, that individual would provide information that would go into this. So Amy, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that I believe in wholeheartedly is being transparent with the community. And yes, there's a lot of growth. I've been in the seat about 90 days and working as quickly and diligently as I can. And one of the pieces to that, before even digging deep on the master plan, is I wanted to make sure financially, if I could just snap my fingers and build buildings and buy land, I would, but there's a cost to those things. So the first thing I needed to get in place was making sure we're working with the best bond underwriting team. So check. I feel like we just hired or moving forward with that. So now I need time to work with them. They're going to run numbers. I was working with them today and said, if the board approves my recommendation, I'm going to need you at this meeting, this meeting, this meeting. And they're probably thinking, oh my goodness. So my tentative plan, we approved the bond. Thank you, the board, the bond underwriter. Then in November, working very quickly with them to have them run numbers and looking at a bonding capacity. I would like them to come to be transparent before meeting to share. If they can work quickly, that's what I'm hoping in November, to come share that, to say, here's where we're at. with our bonding capacity. And what I asked them today, I said, if the board, moves forward, I said, I would like kind of some options. Like currently in the master plan, it says, and it's, if we move forward with the performance gym, what I want them to do is say, hey, here's our options. If we do it now, here's what your bonding capacity would be. Here's what it is later, to kind of provide those options. So step one, hire bond underwriter. Now they're going to need time to do that, and I need time to work with them. And then November, have them present, so it's transparent on this is what our bonding capacity looks like. And then in through the month of December, and that we would be synthesizing that information and revising and editing kind of the master plan once we get that. So administration needs some time, to work through that. Once we know what the bonding capacities look like from Piper, then again, openly and transparently sharing any edits or suggestions from us on the master plan to the board first in January, which is open, sharing that. And then if the board says, yes, we are okay with this, then in February and March is when I would recommend that I go to community scheduled meetings. So economic development and chamber and those places to share that information. So not only would it first be shared publicly at a board meeting, but then I would go to those, retired teachers and chamber and all of those places to share that plan. So that's my tentative time frame on what I was thinking moving us forward.
So I guess the question to the board is, in terms of presenting to the public and stuff like that, is that something we want to direct Amy, or do you have other ideas that you think would be better? Because I don't have the monopoly on that.
I think you have an incredibly well thought out plan.
Thank you.
And I think we can all agree that throw it all out there, be transparent and tell people what we want to do, because at the polls, when they're going to vote for our bond issues, they need to know. So I think this is.
Cal, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, is this a one-off road show, or is this the genesis of just creating, recurring updates and communication channels to these various groups in our community, and other folks on other taxing districts that are your equivalent, so the city administrator, the fire chief, et cetera, to open those channels? Because I see this as a roadmap to kind of an update on our bonding capacity, but
In the master plan.
in the master plan.
The bonding capacity just
Yeah.
leaves, that's where the time frame came in. I need to know what that is. So then we can kind of work. That's why you see okay, we hire a bond underwriter and I'll work very quickly with them, but it would be that and kind of updating the master plan to the board. Tentatively, I have January is the goal. So then I'll be working with Jeremy and the administrative team and Holly to say, here's where we think we can go with a recommendation or an update to the board on the master plan. And then I would be sharing that like I would at that board meeting to those entities or those meetings.
Yeah, tracking that, and I guess in the February, March frame after that's communicated out, I guess I just want to clarify what we're discussing and approving or direction we're giving here. Is it to communicate out that revised master plan, or is this like step one of a recurring communication out to the community? Because Austin, when you say you're approached by a patron on, I guess communicating out things from the district, was this just a one-off thing, or that's what I'm seeking clarity on here?
Well, I think, and that's a good question. So the district is a member of several of these organizations. And you would think that on a timely basis, that our superintendent would present at these meetings, or someone from the district would present. Maybe instead of Amy, Veronica would do it, because she's our business manager. Or maybe we send Jeremy out to do it, or somebody like that. So, but the idea is we need to. I mean, the question here is the city the city needs to know, I think, the cities, I mean, Forestdale, the county, and Wright City, and Innsbruck, and Lusher Street, need to understand, hey, here's our plan. Now, whether you approve a housing complex or a housing development or not, I mean, we're agnostic to that decision, right? We're agnostic to it. But you know, just, you know, the idea though is, you know, these are the ramifications. This is what we're planning right now. Like for instance, tonight they're talking about apartments over there off, potentially off Bell Road. And so the question, I mean, so the question become another 100 units over there, right? So they want to annex that land in and then use the same building that they've built the vistas on the park to do those apartments over there. So the idea is, if they know what our capacities are, you know, then that's just another tool in their work box that says, hey, here's what the school district can and can't do, and here's how this decision is going to impact the school district. Because, you know, I mean, without the information, they're just surmising. Because you ever go to their meetings, they always ask, well, I wonder what's going to happen to the school district. What's going to happen to the school district? Well, the idea is, let's give them the information as transparent as we can, and then let them have that information as they make their decisions. And so, yeah, it would need to be updated, and at some point, you would think that you would publish this on a website where they can go get it, and then that information would just be perpetually available. I mean, right now it's in board docs. So they wanted to
The
go,
master plan's on our website.
yeah, it could be on the website.
It's on our website.
Yeah.
It's on the website
Yeah.
now.
So, I'm done.
No, you're good. I agree it should be ongoing, but you can put it out there as much as you want. People are gonna read what they want to read. But if we're giving it and like giving it directly to the city and the chamber, I think that's a very good idea.
And I also think that yes, we need to be, and I know just because Dr. Salvo shares her schedule with us all the time, that she's attending all of these meetings and building those relationships. Our city leaders also need to take the responsibility to reach out to the school district as they are looking at approving these housing developments, to do their due diligence, to do their research. And hopefully that's happening.
So, based upon everything we said, do we want to direct Amy? Or how do we want to direct Amy? Is Amy, what Amy proposed, is that the direction we want to give us?
I think that's a great start. And then it, you know, things evolve.
Yeah.
And if it needs to adjust,
That's why
it can.
I sent it to
And
them.
like next year, we're not gonna, I mean, we'll have some bond stuff, but it's gonna be a different situation. So the update and the schedule will look a little different.
So, when I was talking to Amy Knight in our one-on-one, you know, I offered her the opportunity to say, well, wait a minute, board, you know, is this really a good idea? So this is your opportunity to push back if you don't think this is a good idea.
I mean,
And then,
I am fine. I like the tentative timeline that I put there, because there's a reality component of getting the information, and then we have to do the work.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, and coming in, I'm trying to do my due diligence to make sure that we have the bonding capacity, and looking at RSP, and there's a lot to look at. So I feel like that right now is a doable plan, but I didn't use the word tentative. But that I feel comfortable with that, and going to those meetings that exist, the chamber, and doing it here at the board, and sharing that, and it's on our website, and all of those things. I feel comfortable going to those meetings and sharing that information.
so we have a plan. So one last question, and you probably don't have the answer, so you can give to me later. When is RSP scheduled to update the demographic information?
I emailed them yesterday, some questions, but I haven't heard back yet. So we normally work with them, from my understanding, once a year. But my question to them was, hey, with this, do you think we should push it back? And I kind of sent them that timeline. So I haven't heard back from them yet, but yes, they're a partner in this as well. So.
Okay, moving on. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, Mr. Micus asked me to move this out of consent. His wife is the director of Compass, so he needs to abstain from this agenda item. I guess I could have just had us pull it, but I chose to do it this way, so. Anyway, motion to approve the Compass Health MOU for school-based behavioral health services as presented.
So moved. Second.
Hey, Amy, you wanna kind of give us an update what this is real quick?
For MOU,
Yeah.
the Compass, so Compass provides a lot of, services, mental health, behavioral mental health for our kids. So we're lucky to have that partnership, and I'm used to previous districts, having a lot of relationships with these kind of entities to provide services to our kids, in need. So we definitely, need these, services, so.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? 501. Okay, old business, CSIP reports. Does anybody have any, questions on the CSIP reports? Kyle?
Nope.
Nope. Aaron?
No. No, sir.
Okay. Okay, moving on, there's a report, summer school evaluation.
That's me. Okay, so, you've seen the report. I think the highlights of it are overall, we had positive survey results, both from parents and staff on the summer school program this past summer. There were some slight increases in student enrollment and, some areas of focus going forward are materials management and communication, and then also just working to recruit the staff to meet the enrollment needs as it has increased over the past couple of years. And then of note too is that our revenue exceeded our cost, so we did not end up in the hole. We came out on top.
So if you had to say what's the one improvement to summer school that we should do next year, what would that be?
I don't know. I think it's a good program. I think if you look at the results from the parent survey, there were some concerns of the communication and I think there was one that was about having the younger students with some older students. So just looking
so that's
at
the age group mixing thing on your report area for improvement.
yes. So just looking at our structure for that, and I haven't lived it yet, and so just having conversations about what it looks like. But I would say from everything that I have seen from that was reported through the company and then from the surveys, it looks like we're running a pretty effective program.
Okay. Any other questions for Holly? Okay. We're to the consent agenda. Does anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda? I need you to look at the employment real quick. Make sure you're good to go. Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I heard 6-0. A vote to go in the closed session in accordance with section 610-021, the revised statute of the state of Missouri. The R2 Board of Education will meet in closed session to discuss 1, legal actions in accordance with the provisions of 610-021 of the revised statutes of Missouri.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any more discussion? Roll call starting with Austin. Yes?